Fired bureaucrats with regime change experience allegedly turned skills against Trump administration. Byte Your News Channel, July 8, 2025. Washington, D.C. In a revelation stirring strong political debate, multiple reports have surfaced suggesting that former U.S. government bureaucrats, many of whom were dismissed during or after the Trump administration, may have applied their overseas regime change expertise toward undermining President Donald Trump during his first term and beyond. These individuals, once stationed in foreign nations with mandates to promote democracy, build institutions, or counter authoritarian regimes, are now being accused, by political allies of Trump, of turning those tactics inward, allegedly working to destabilize or delegitimize Trump's presidency through bureaucratic resistance, leaks, and influence operations. Though the allegations remain speculative and politically charged, they reflect a broader narrative gaining traction among Trump's base, that the so-called deep state is not only real, but active and motivated to shape domestic outcomes in ways once reserved for foreign battlefields. From foreign policy tools to domestic tensions, former intelligence officers, State Department employees, and National Security Council staffers often spend years abroad in countries like Ukraine, Iraq, Venezuela, and various parts of Africa or the Middle East. Their roles may include advising on elections, monitoring corruption, supporting opposition movements, and training civic institutions. According to several conservative investigative reports, some of these officials, removed from their positions during the Trump era, later appeared as vocal critics of the administration. Some even found positions at think tanks, NGOs, or media outlets where they regularly spoke against Trump's foreign policy, immigration strategy, and leadership style. A senior Republican aide, speaking under the condition of anonymity, stated, "These people know how to run color revolutions. They know how to stir dissent, mobilize media, and exploit legal loopholes. Now they've turned those skills on our own president." While such claims are difficult to independently verify, the story has found fertile ground in conservative media circles, especially following a recent surge in books, documentaries, and podcast episodes examining the internal resistance President Trump faced during his first term. Anonymous, and the bureaucratic resistance. Fueling these concerns is the infamous 2018 New York Times op-ed penned by an anonymous senior Trump official, later revealed to be Miles Taylor of the Department of Homeland Security. The article described a coordinated internal effort to resist Trump's more controversial policies and decisions from within the government. Taylor claimed to be part of a network of officials who sought to preserve our democratic institutions, in the face of what they perceived as presidential recklessness. Though he later resigned and went public, critics saw his admission as proof of a shadow government working behind the scenes. Former Trump White House advisor Stephen Miller responded at the time, "What you're seeing is a mutiny by entrenched bureaucrats, many of whom were trained to shape the destinies of other nations, now working to undermine the will of the American people." Whistleblowing or sabotage. To Trump's critics, much of what the former president and his allies call sabotage is better understood as whistleblowing and accountability. Leaks about Trump's dealings with Ukraine, which led to his first impeachment, and disclosures about his COVID-19 response, were championed by many as necessary interventions by career professionals who saw grave ethical lapses. But Trump loyalists see a different picture. They argue that disloyal bureaucrats refused to carry out presidential directives not because they were illegal or immoral, but because they clashed with the Washington establishment's preferred policies. Political commentator and author Molly Hemingway wrote in 2021, "From the moment Trump took office, entrenched officials who had built their careers engineering regime change abroad viewed him as a domestic threat, someone to be contained or removed by any means necessary." CIA and State Department veterans in the spotlight. One name that often appears in this debate is Fiona Hill, a former National Security Council Russia expert, who testified during Trump's first impeachment trial. Though widely praised for her professional demeanor and sharp analysis, Trump supporters often point to her extensive foreign service as indicative of a globalist mindset, incompatible with Trump's America First doctrine. Similarly, officials who had spent time in color revolution hotspots, such as Georgia, Ukraine, or Serbia, have been quietly scrutinized by conservative journalists for their sudden domestic activism post-Trump.